Shalom Chaverim, welcome back to our discussion of Sichos HaRan. In our last class, we started to cover one of the longer Sichos, Sicha number 32, which is primarily concerned with the importance of faith, and especially in contrasting faith with the idea of philosophy. So we just got into the first few paragraphs of it the last time. We're not going to finish it in this installment either. As I said, it is one of the longer Sichos, but it's packed with a lot of important information, and hopefully we can get through a little bit more of it today. B'siyata d'shmaya. So if you're in the BRI version, we're going to be starting at the bottom of page 132. So continuing from where we left off in Sicha number 32, Rabbi Nachman says, when a person goes with simple faith and without speculation, he can be worthy that God will help him reach the level of desire, which is even higher than wisdom. While the attribute of wisdom is actually higher than faith, we must avoid the wisdom of speculation and rely on faith alone, because faith has great power. When one follows its path, he can achieve desire, a level even higher than wisdom. So let's kind of break down what he's saying here. He's talking about these levels of avodas Hashem, of serving Hashem. And he's creating this hierarchy where it goes faith, and then above that is wisdom, and above that is desire. And desire is what we're shooting for. And Rabbi Nachman here seems to be saying that rather than focus on wisdom, which might seem like the logical thing to do, if you're shooting for desire, you should shoot for, wisdom, which is right below desire. He's saying don't do that because you're going to get involved in speculation, and we're going to find out in a minute why that's a problem. He says you should rely on faith alone because faith has great power, and when one follows its path, he can achieve desire. So from faith, if you cultivate faith, Rabbi Nachman is saying you can sort of jump over, sort of leapfrog over that level of wisdom all the way to this top level of desire. And continues Rabbeinu, when one is worthy of desire, he feels a great longing and yearning for God. This feeling becomes so intense that he does not know what to do, and he cries out. And, whenever you hear Rabbi Nachman talk about crying out, you should think about hisbodedus, right? And he's saying that when you achieve this desire, it will make your hisbodedus more effective. But then he continues, and he gives us a word of caution. Says Rabbi Nachman, but there is a philosopher in every man's heart, the evil inclination. We've talked before about how the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, works in Breslov thinking. And here he's saying that Yetzer Hara, that evil inclination in everyone, is a philosopher. And he says that it raises questions in the heart. We must humble it and eject it, strengthening ourselves in faith and emptying the heart of all questions. So here he's saying that when you are involved in speculation and when you're trying to cultivate wisdom instead of faith, you're giving the Yetzer Hara an opportunity to come in and confuse you. And he says we have to get rid of that. We have to throw that out of our thinking and instead strengthen our faith so that we can empty our heart of those speculative questions. Now Rabbi Nachman's going to change gears a little bit and talk about what the problem is with skepticism. And it's a really interesting chiddush from Rabbi Nachman. He says there are sins that infuse a person with skepticism. So he's saying it's not just a random thing. He's saying there's certain things that can lead you to skepticism. A person might succumb to skepticism because he was not conceived in holiness or because he is guilty of sinning in this regard. So here Rabbi Nachman is saying, that if your conception before your birth was under less than ideal halakhic circumstances, was the result of some sort of forbidden union, or if you've engaged in those sorts of things yourself, then you are more likely if you have those sort of blemishes, then you're more likely to succumb to skepticism. And he says such blemishes are detrimental to one's faith. Therefore, a person should be greatly ashamed of the fact that he has doubts regarding belief. So not only should we strive to strengthen our faith, but if we're lacking in faith, he says we should be ashamed, because, continues Der Heilige Rebbe, such questions are not a sign of intelligence, but an indication that he was conceived in an unholy state or that he himself is guilty of such sins. These are the things that cause one to doubt the essence of our faith. So, philosophy, when you think of a philosopher, you think of somebody who takes himself very seriously, most likely, and you think of somebody who is always engaged in, deep thought. And here, Rabbi Nachman is saying, if you're cultivating wisdom, don't think that means that you're a smart person. What that really might mean is that you have some blemish in your life that's leading to this skepticism entering your life. He continues by quoting from the book of Bamidbar, God's glory fills the earth, for the whole earth is filled with his glory. It's another quote from Yeshaya. It says, a person must realize this and remember that his doubts are divorcing him from the living God and uprooting him from the life of all life. So, we've talked about this before, that Rabbi Nachman is stressing that Hashem runs the world. Hashem is in charge of the world. And when you have doubts, you're separating yourself from Hashem, chas v'shalom. And you're separating yourself from the source of all life, from the creator, Ribono Shel Olam, the master of the universe. Continues Rabbi Nachman, we need not describe the great shame a person should have because of such doubts, but with heartbreak and shame, he can expel and destroy these questions. So here again, he's talking about his bodhidus. He's talking about this idea that we need to approach Hashem with a broken heart. And specifically, this is one example. He's saying we should have a broken heart over the fact that we are experiencing doubts, that we should pour out those doubts to Hashem and express our regret and our shame over those doubts so that we can eject them, so that we can get rid of them and cultivate faith. And remember, faith is the portal that provides the shortcut to desire for a relationship with Hashem. So it's a feedback loop that reinforces itself. If you get rid of the doubts by expressing your regret and shame over those doubts, you're cultivating faith. And faith increases your desire, and your desire makes your hisbodedus, your private personal conversations with your creator, all the more effective. So really deep concepts here, and he's giving us some words of caution about things that we need to avoid and the things that we need to do. And we still have quite a bit of this Sicha to cover, and with the help of heaven, we will get to that in the next installment or two. Thanks for joining.